For more insights on urban farming, we talked to Dr. Aston Gumbi, assistant professor at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, about the benefits of growing vegetables at home and how the process can be made more accessible, just in case you haven't already started.
Most of the time before COVID-19, I think we are so disjointed from just the food we eat, and because we took it for granted that you can easily just go to the grocery store and get it. It's always gonna be on the shelf. But then realizing that no, if I go to the grocery store, it is not there. All the shelves, they started running dry. And then we're like, okay, you start to panic and how do I grow the kale? That because I'm used to eating kale for lunch. I'm used to eating a tomato. How do I now grow it?
So that
for me was like, yes.
People around the world almost simultaneously turned into this direction. Could you tell us on what your study found on a global scale?
So yes, I think what the study showed is that everybody actually turned into growing their food and realizing that actually we do not have to rely on going to the grocery stores. We can start producing. And you guess what? That food you're producing, first of all, is healthy. And secondly, it's helping our Mother Earth, because right now, the climate change crisis. So the more many of us grow food, much better it is for our environment. And then also, lastly, how you grew your food. So you know that you've not put a lot of pesticides. You know the soil where you're growing it from. You know even the water that you're using to grow the food. So it's healthy, it's nutritious, it's good for our climate as well, and it's good for all of us.
With all the benefits of our urban farming, how do we more efficiently introduce urban farming to city dwellers and build a sustainable system?
So that's a very good question. First of all, I think there has to be a buy-in from the governments mostly, or the city councils. If we really need a sustainable way, because definitely, of course, you will need all these amenities, infrastructure to make it happen. Ministry of Agriculture can really take a big lead. And so, for example, I think in Nairobi, it's already beginning to happen. I think the other day I was reading one of the permanent secretaries in Agriculture, Minister of Agriculture, is actually introducing urban farming. They are finally embracing it. And so they have a demonstration, I believe, place where they are showing off what is urban gardening and the many forms of urban gardening that can happen. So once we have that embracement by our leaders, by our city councils, and set aside areas. I mean, think of for example, Nairobi, we have the park gardens. Set aside these urban areas that can be accessed by farmers, and they can come, and that's another way. And then, of course, as we finance this, I know that MasterCard Foundation, for example, is a believer in urban farming. I've seen them actually funding young people and young youth organizations that do actually work on urban farming. So when we have that government buy-in, NGOs, and private sector, and then, of course, we need the universities, because we need a lot of research and development into this, so that at least people that jump into it, they know how to do it and do it well.
If I live in a city and have some space in my home, even if it's just a balcony, and would like to try growing some crops at my home, how do I start, and what should I start trying to grow?
So that's a good question. So I think, in the balcony, for example, it's a small space, and I'm not right now looking at my own balcony. And you can grow a lot. First of all, you can grow kale or sukuma wiki. You can grow tomatoes. You can grow bell peppers. And so all you need is to find access to soil, or even add hydroponics. So there are different ways when you think about urban gardening. The beauty is there are different forms of farming. So you can go hydroponic, which means it's just you're using water and giving water that nutrients that the soil that come from the soil. You can also get some soil and mix it with manure and do some bag gardening as well. You can really get innovative. Take, for example, any container that you don't use, fill it with soil and get it out and grow. And then you can stack it up. When you think about the stacked crates, and I think, get creative. I mean, you can even have shelves. You can build shelves and put all your containers, and green is beautiful. I love green. It's edible, it's beautiful. Instead of just, flowers are important, but I think flowers that you can eat, it would be wonderful.